live stream is on, just so it's easier.
So start my song now?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm trying to do it now.
I just turned it on.
Chris is checking out. We're still trying.
Maybe just refresh it, because I did just turn it on.
Oops. In a timely manner. Good evening. We'll call the meeting to order. Just so everybody is aware, we are live streaming again tonight, and everybody has to be patient with us. We're still in a trial period. We're trying to get it as good as we can in the near future. Moved by Councillor Liev, seconded by Councillor Rule. Resolved that the meeting commenced at the hour of 7:01 p.m. All in favor? Opposed? None carried. Item number 2, addition or deletion to the agenda. There is none. Item number 3, disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof. There is one.
Pecuniary declaration, Member of Council, Mayor Andy Major. Council meeting date, February 28th, 2018, in closed session. I declare a pecuniary interest on agenda item number 1603, closed agenda item number 0503 of the agenda for the above noted meeting for the following reasons. Family member.
Thank you. Item number 4, approval of agenda. Moved by Councillor Liliev, seconded by Councillor Plummer. Resolved that the agenda be approved as circulated. Questions or comments? Yes, Councillor?
Through the chair, I think the closed session agenda item number 1602 should be heard in open session because
Councillor, sorry, we're looking at approving the agenda for tonight.
that's why I would like to have it moved to business instead of having it heard in closed session.
Okay. Go on, please.
Thank you. Reason for that is we've had numerous discussions, we had follow-ups, and we've also received correspondence from the former Minister of the Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry, Honorable Catherine McGarry. In her correspondence dated October 23rd, 2017, she stated in 2 paragraphs that the ministry wants to keep this as an open and transparent issue regarding the land use permit. And on those points, or especially on that point, I feel that it should be heard as business in open session.
Councillor, just as for your information, this is in closed session only because we were asked by the MNR for something that is between the MNR and the Township of Manitowoc at this time, and not for open session. When time comes for open session, then council will decide so.
Through the chair, I've read the content and somehow in the interpretation of that, and if council moves on the matter, there won't be an opportunity for an open session.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. Anyone else has comments on this? Or is everyone else okay with having this discussion in closed session?
My question would be, just for the point of order, I just wonder in future, whether it's this issue or future issues, that this type of discussion should happen in closed session first to protect all the parties. Because if you're suggesting something like you are now, and then you start to give commentary, and you give out something that's private, I just wonder if this conversation should happen in a closed session first, and you can call a point of order in closed session saying, I'd like this to be moved out.
Through the chair, that is the correct process.
Yeah. Anyone else? Yes, Councillor.
I want to thank Councillor Rule for that direction. If that's possible, I would like to probably seek that remedy.
Okay, thank you. When the time comes, and it's your prerogative. So anything else on tonight's agenda? Moved by Councillor Liliev, seconded by Councillor Plummer. Resolved that the agenda be approved as circulated. All in favor? Opposed? None carried. Item number 5, delegation and presentation. There are none. Item number 6, adoption of minutes of previous meeting. Moved by Councillor Rule, seconded by Councillor Liliev. Resolved that the minutes of the regular meeting held on February 14, 2018 are adopted as circulated. Questions or comments? All in favor? Opposed? None carried. Number 7, petitions. There is none. Item number 8, disbursement. Moved by Councillor Plummer, second by Councilor Liev. Resolved that disbursement sheet number 2018-03, $214,863.15, as provided to council for information purpose only. Questions or comments? All in favor? Opposed? None? Carried. Item number 9, correspondence. Moved by Councilor Rule, seconded by Councilor Dunno. Resolved that correspondence item 0901 be received and filed. Questions or comments? And be it further resolved that, okay, so there's nothing, so all in favor? Opposed? None? Carried. Item number 10, report on committees. Moved by Councilor Rule, seconded by Councilor Plummer. Resolved that the minutes of the meeting of the Manitowocc Nuclear Waste Community Liaison Committee held January 18, 2018 be accepted as received. Questions or comments? All in favor? Opposed? None? Carried. Item number 2, moved by Councilor Liev, seconded by Councilor Dunno. Resolved that the minutes of the meeting of the Manitowocc Municipal Housing Corporation held January 15, 2018 be accepted as received. Questions or comments? All in favor? Opposed? None? Carried. Item 3, moved by Councilor Rule, seconded by Councilor Plummer. Resolved that the minutes of the meeting of the Thunder Bay District Social Service Administration Board held January 18, 2018, regular meeting, and January 18, 2018 closed meeting be accepted as received. Questions or comments? All in favor? Opposed? None? Carried. Item 4, moved by Councilor Dunno, seconded by Councilor Rule. Resolved that the minutes of the Manitowocc Public Library Board held January 23, 2018 be accepted as received. Questions or comments? All in favor? Opposed? None? Carried. Item number 11, verbal update. So just again for information, as I stated last meeting, we're still not receiving response from Big River and Big Mulvert concerning discussion that we had quoted, that we are trying to seek some kind of a agreement of mutual respect with them. So today again I've sent back another email to Chief Joanna Desmond of Big Mulvert outlining her initial comment that 3 years ago she had asked us to have this type of agreement and consultation, and reminding her that was not aware of it, but now is not too late to start all over again and try and get something going between the two neighboring communities. So hopefully we'll get some response on that. Tomorrow I intend on sending an email to both chiefs of both municipalities and inviting him to our open house of the CLC and NWMO for March the 8th and 9th to learn more about what the township is trying to achieve here. So we'll see what happens from there. Today also I sent council an email reminding you that the CLC and NWMO is having an open house on March the 8th, March the 9th to discuss a possible location for a borehole around Manitowaj area and Hornplain, which is a district kind of. And we must impress on everybody that it's imperative that we show support and engage our residents in attending these learn more process so we can make an informed decision together when the time comes. And without that, I think that we would be having problems getting everyone involved. So we have to make sure that we discuss with people, we let them know that this is happening. Also today, seems like there wasn't 7 days or 14 days between meetings because everything happened today. So we had a meeting with with Williams, the general manager, and an HR person was here, and Margaret and I attended. They outlined to us what was happening at Williams. There's, as far as I'm concerned, there's good things happening, but maybe not as fast as we were hoping to. They did not, at this point, get the capital investment from their corporate for the expansion of the open pit. But that doesn't mean the open pit is closing. That means the open pit is still on until the end of 2019. In the meantime, they will reapply for the money. What we were told was that one of the reasons why it's happening is that one of their other projects in Montana did get the money because the potential return on that investment was much higher than here locally. But when that's gone, then nobody says that it's not going to happen here again. But anyways, the underground needs some capital investment, and they got it already for that. It will mean a reworking of their tailings and some other areas within the mine. And the mine will hopefully keep going until 2029. So that's a lot longer than we thought would happen. And although there's all kinds of rumors around, we were informed that there's not going to be a grand layoff of people, as we had heard through some grapevines. So what they're saying is through attrition and so on, they will either try and integrate the people that they have in other areas, and then towards the end, if they have to close the open pit, then there may be a small amount of people leaving the property, but they assured us that it's not a great amount. So the good thing there is 2027 is still good for the underground. Margaret and I had a discussion with Ken Mosoff of the MTO concerning I-614 and what I call the deplorable state that we've had on it on the highway this year. The only thing that saved us is that we had less slow than usual. And so far, even though the discussion was there, and Margaret may expand on that, I feel that we have not seen any results whatsoever. So I think what we have to do is do a deputation at AMO this summer to see what can be done there. And that's all I have. Is there any question? Item number 12, verbal update by CEO, Clerk, Treasurer.
Through the chair, I just have a couple of smaller items. We completed, in collaboration with the Santé Manitowaj Health today, actually not in collaboration, Lee Krinsky did 99% of the work. We submitted an application today under the transportation grant that the council had approved previously. So the commitment from the municipality will be the funding body. So we will own the vehicle, we will insure the vehicle, and our commitment will be for emergency repairs only, so that we're still getting repairs done with the local businesses. Santé Manitowoc Health will be the provider of the service and manage the service. So we cross our fingers that we get that grant. Hopefully the response time is fairly quick. The second project that we're involved in is the LNG project. There was an application, a stage 2 application put into NHOFC last Friday. The timeline was pretty tight, so there was a letter sent. I signed the letter saying that council was in support of the stage 2 application, which council has been in favor of the project proceeding. There's no commitment of funds at that point. It's just a commitment to support the application. The application is for an excess of $4 million. We're looking for 90-cent dollars. So the 5 communities, our share would be about $100,000 each. So that will come back. The timing didn't work for this council meeting, but I will be bringing that back to the next council meeting for a resolution to support that.
Okay, thank you. Item number 13, bylaws. Moved by Councillor Plummer, seconded by Councillor Donald. Being a bylaw to authorize an Ontario Community Infrastructure Fund application-based component 2017 uptake intake agreement between the Corporation of Township of Manitowoc and Her Majesty the Queen in right of Ontario as the represented by the Minister of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs. Be read the first and second time.
Through the chair, we submitted this application late last year with the assistance of Aqua, and it's for major renovations to our water treatment plant and the infrastructure involved in water. We were successful, as you can see, by the agreement, and they are funding $1.2 million towards this project. Our share of that is about $135,000. So it's a significant successful grant component. So with council's approval, we'll sign this off and send it back to them tomorrow.
Any questions? Yes, Councillor Donald.
The funds of $1.2 million, is that going to just go towards our water distribution and retrieval system? Or is there other shovel-ready projects that can be spent on?
Through the chair, there was an application submitted for specific projects. That 1.2 is for those specific projects as determined by the Public Works Manager and Aqua.
Other questions? And furthermore, be read a third time, passed and numbered as bylaw number 2018-05. All in favor? Opposed? None carried. $13.02. Moved by Councillor Donald, seconded by Councillor Plummer. Being a bylaw to authorize a funding grant agreement between the Corporation of Township of Manitowoc and Her Majesty the Queen in right of Ontario, as represented by the Minister of Employment and Social Development, to carry out the accessibility barrier removal at 42 Manitou Road East. Be read the first and second time. Margaret, please.
Through the chair, we applied for this funding quite some time ago, and this is the funding that we've been waiting for to do the renovations to provide accessibility to 40 Manitou so that we can get the seniors moved into that building. We have notified the seniors, so they're quite pleased. Mr. Cranny is going to be in touch with contractors and architects in the next couple of weeks to get that project rolling. We have a year to complete this project.
Question, comments? Yes, Councilor.
Thank you, Mr. Is there any commitment by the senior club for funding on this?
Through the chair, yes, there is. I attended their annual meeting, or their last meeting, probably a week or two ago. And we discussed it. I've also been in touch with Mr. Minty due to the commitment that they said that they were going to provide to support this grant. They were having a meeting, I believe it was last night, but I haven't heard back. But they're supposed to contribute towards this. We expect that they will.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? And furthermore, be read a third time, passing numbers as bylaw number 2018-06. All in favor? Opposed? None carried. $13.03. Moved by Councillor Rule, seconded by Councillor Lelièvre. Being a bylaw to authorize the execution of an agreement with Her Majesty the Queen in Right of Ontario, as represented by the Minister of Health and Long-Term Care, for the call taking and alerting devices to the Township Fire Department by the Thunder Bay Central Ambulance Communication Center. We read a first and second time. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through the chair, this is a renewal of a contract we've had since 2003 with the Central Ambulance Communication Center in Thunder Bay. They do the paging out of the fire department when there's a call. This is basically a renewal of an existing contract. I just went over the contract with Maria Santos, the manager at Central Ambulance Communication in Thunder Bay. We've tuned up the system, trying to make it better. I did go out to look at competitive services. There's not a lot out there, and the price was close to 5 or 6 times what the service we get from CAC. So we'll renew for another 3 years with them and carry on forward. It is an agreement that they don't want to hold us to. If we did ever come to a point where we thought we wanted out of this municipality, they'd not have an issue with that. Questions?
Yes, Councillor Lelièvre.
Through the chair, the $10 per call, is that overwhelming, or?
No, it's minimal. It's the whole contract roughly per annum is less than $1,500
Okay.
with all the fees included.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Yes, Councillor.
Through the chair, I have 2 questions.
Sure.
Okay, found on page 35, paragraph 19, clause A. It says that we need at least a minimum of $2 million insurance coverage. Do you feel or believe that that is sufficient coverage in a case of multiple incidents?
Yeah, this is just under the general municipal policy that we have. We've talked to them before about that. They're aware that we have this liability. Every municipality has that, and our insurance coverage is adequate to cover that.
My second question is with regards to Schedule D. The annual fee, why was it referred back to a municipal directory back in 2015 when in 2016 we had a census where we had less people living in Manitowoc, so obviously our cost would be a little bit lower. Not much, but a little bit lower.
Their agreement, I asked her about that, and she said that's the number we used when we put the contract together, and they haven't updated it.
We just lost out on about $85.
Yes.
It's not much.
Yes.
We did
Yes.
lose out.
Yeah.
That's all.
Any other questions or comments? And furthermore, be read a third time, passed and numbered as bylaw number 2018-07. All in favor? Opposed? None carried.
If I may, Mr. Mayor, if the letter that came from Maria gets attached to the bylaw as well as the agreement, because that has the official dates on there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Item number 1401. Moved by Councilor Plummer, seconded by Councilor Donald. Resolved that the 2018 NOMA Annual General Meeting is scheduled to be held on May the 2nd to the 4th, 2018, at the Clarion Lakeside Inn and Conference Center in Kenora, Ontario.
Through the chair, the meeting is coming up rather quickly. I did attempt to get an agenda, as I know council likes to see an agenda before they make a decision. Unfortunately, this is all that was provided, and with an election pending, I think some of the ministers are a little reluctant to commit at this point. So this is all we have at this time, so unfortunately you'll have to sort of make your decision based on this. We could defer it for another week, but I don't know that, another 2 weeks, but I don't know that there would be any more updates on the agenda.
So we'll have to get Building to call this up. I don't hear, please. And you have to let her know whether you would like to attend or not, or defer until you can give us a date or an answer. She'll call you, yes?
One question, through the chair. Will our deputy clerk be making accommodations for us?
Through the chair.
Or do we have to make our own accommodations?
Through the chair, when you respond yes or no, if you could let her know whether you want her to make arrangements or not, then she'll have it there.
Yeah.
Mayor Andy Major,
Will attend.
Councillor Edward Dunnell,
Will attend.
Councillor Raymond Liliev,
Very well. Yes, I will.
Councillor Sheldon Plummer,
No. Thank you.
Councillor Peter Ruel,
Ray maybe attempted to go now, but no.
Margaret Hartling.
Yes, I'll attend.
Thank you, everybody.
Through the chair, if we receive an updated agenda and you still wish to attend, just let us know. It's in our procedure. It's in our bylaws.
Yeah. Item number 2, moved by Councilor Rule, seconded by Councilor Plummer. Resolved that council is in receipt of administration report number TR 2018-01, submitted by Margaret Hartling, CEO, Clerk Treasurer, regarding the dissolution of Ontario Corporation 2242348. Speak on that, please.
Through the chair, I was actually unaware of this corporation. It was the mayor who came across documentation regarding this. So I contacted Marathon, who has been doing the books for this corporation for quite some time, and there has been no activity, no business, and no future business perspective. So the decision was made that we would dissolve the corporation, and because we are the mailing address for it, the documents get signed here. All parties are in agreement. There are still some funds in the bank in trust for this corporation. From those funds, any legal fees and costs associated with that will be paid for. We may be responsible for some outstanding costs, but it appears that it'll be pretty nominal if it does indeed happen. So, council's approval will have the document signed.
Any questions? Yes, Councilor Dunno.
Through the chair, is there any tangible property that's in the possession of any of the shareholders that can be liquidated?
No, there is not.
Thank you.
Any other questions? And be further resolved that upon conclusion of council's review and consideration, direct staff as follows. Council approved the dissolution of Ontario Corporation number 2242348. All in favor? Opposed? None carried. Item number 3, moved by Councilor Diab, seconded by Councilor Rule. Resolved that council is in receipt of administration report number TR 2018-04, submitted by Margaret Hartling, CEO Clerk Treasurer, regarding the proposed increase to taxi fare. Speak on that, please.
Through the chair, we were approached by the owner of Gord's Taxi with a request to have council consider his request for increased taxi fares. The last time that the fares were increased were 2014. He's indicated that, of course, gas goes up, insurance goes up, vehicle costs go up. If you look at the table that he's attached, it gives the proposed fees that he's asking council to endorse. There's no change for the local trips. The majority of the increases are for out-of-town and longer distance trips. He did some comparisons, and he's actually significantly lower than the comparables that he provided to us. So I don't think this is an unreasonable request, so I'm requesting council to consider it.
Questions or comments? Yes, Councilor Diab.
Through the chair, right at the bottom of his request there, what I don't, I'll say I don't like, I guess, is that, see if you travel as a couple, and he's going to charge you an extra 75% for that second passenger, according to this. I don't think that's...
Through the chair, we had some discussions on that with him, and Jolene, you can correct me if I'm wrong. He was basically saying no, but the scenario that he used to example that was if he picks me up at my house and Jolene up at her house, but we're both going to the same place, that he wouldn't charge full fare for both of us as an extra pickup. He would charge 75% to the second passenger, or average it out.
So if you're both going to Thunder Bay, through
Yes.
the chair, he'll charge you both.
Correct. If he's picking you up at two different addresses.
Yes. Right.
But if he, okay, what if he's not?
Then it should be one fare. That's what you understood too.
I would like clarification on that.
That is what he told us.
Yes?
Because he was a little, the initial proposal was a little confusing. So we did talk about that because I had the same questions.
Okay, that's all I found that.
The only difference really, the way I understand, and I spoke to him briefly as well, is that if he has to spend extra gas and time to pick up one person in one area, another person at the other end of town, then there would be an added fare. But if it's from the same area, same house, then it's one fare. Yes, Councilor Dunn. I'll get back to you after, Councilor.
Yeah.
Yes, Councilor Dunn.
Through the chair, the fact that the 75% increase per person going to the same destination of a long distance destination does not sit well with me. If they're just going to pick up a person at the house, another person, I could see an added pickup rate for local pickup, and then being in the taxi, the way that they go as a party to the long distance destination, that should be just the one charge, not compound charge.
Through the chair, the second part of that discussion was if there were two people from two separate locations going to two separate, so say two people from Manitouwadge going to two different locations in Thunder Bay, he could take two taxis, charge both of those people full fare because they are from different houses in the community going to different locations in Thunder Bay. So by giving them a break, they could split that between the two of them, save one vehicle. If you were to use two vehicles, we would likely be, there's a good possibility we would be without taxi service in the community for probably a day, given that some of the times he's out in Thunder Bay.
Any other questions or comments? Yes, Councillor?
I appreciate, I appreciate Councillor Iliev and Councillor Nuttall saying, I don't like the 75% either. However, if I were to buy plane tickets for my wife and I to go to Calgary, I pay 100% from my seat, 100% from my wife's seat. We leave from Thunder Bay, we arrive in Calgary. There's no break on that. Same thing applies to the train, same thing applies to the bus. I see this as actually cheap. A 75% reduction, 25% reduction for the second passenger. But then all reality is, if you go by bus, you're paying 100%.
Any other comments? Councillor Iliev?
No, I'm okay, thank you.
And be it further resolved that upon conclusion of council's review and consideration, direct staff as follows. Council approve the revised fare as set out in Table A. All in favor? Opposed? None carried. Item number 4, moved by Councillor Plummer, seconded by Councillor Dunno. Resolved that council directs staff to apply for a grant opportunity from the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Asset Management Program for Asset Management Plan Program Building in Manitowaj.
Through the chair, council is aware that asset management is looming, and you hear it at a lot of the meetings that you go to. So the first regulation is the development of a policy which is due to be completed no later than July 1st, 2019. We have to be in full compliance of the regulation 588-17 by July 1st, 2024. Currently what we have is an Excel spreadsheet that is quite onerous, and it's certainly not a working tool for any of the managers to do any long-term planning. It's basically a depreciation tool that I use at the end of the year for a bookkeeping purpose. So it really doesn't serve a lot of value. The majority of the communities along the North Shore work with this company citywide. The proposal that we have is for them to take our data, import it into a working computer program that we can use to do some long-term planning. We'll show amortization, lifespan, life cycles. It involves training. It involves reviewing our assets to see condition ratings, etc. Huge job. The money that I'm requesting will not finish the project, but it's a good start to getting us where we need to go. So council last year approved $100,000 out of the gas tax fund. What I'm asking for is an additional $14,285. We can take that out of reserves, and asking for pre-approval for that for the 2018 budget.
Question? Comments? Yes, Councillor Wu?
So through the chair, so you're saying, so what are you saying? What's going to cost going forward to finish the project?
They're estimating around 240. Well, probably be about $250,000 roughly.
Are there any other questions or comments? Be it therefore resolved that the Township of Manitowaj commits to conducting the following activities and in its proposed project submitted to the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Asset Management Plan Program to advance our asset management program. 3 items: asset management maturity assessment report, data collection tool, and asset management software module, and 3rd, asset management training. And be it further resolved that the Township of Manitowaj commits $14,285 from its 2018 budget towards the cost of this initiative. All in favor? Opposed? None carried. Item number 5, moved by Councillor Plummer, second by Councillor Dunno. Resolved that council is in receipt of Administration Report number TR 2018-06, submitted by Margaret Hartling, CEO Clerk Treasurer, regarding the trailer court leases. Would you speak on that, please, Owen?
Certainly. This was before council, I think it was October, that they placed a moratorium on the trailer park to we have a look at the operation and come back with some recommendations. So both Margaret Hartling and I took a look at the data for the trailer park and looked at the number of lots available, the number of valid leases that we have, and come up with an occupancy rate of 32%. I'm sure council can agree that anything that runs at 32% efficiency is not really desirable from a business standpoint. We have looked at some of the options, and it's going to take further investigation, both with a lawyer to look at the landlord-tenant rights for one issue, and then secondly is with the Ministry of Municipal Affairs for the plan of subdivision and what our options are or could be with that property. I know we did put 5 things together for council to consider, and I'm not sure what best avenue to take. I know it's not a full-on recommendation as council is used to getting from us, but there would be still quite a bit of work to achieve all those answers.
Questions? Comments? Councillor Dunno, please.
Through the chair, I remember the meeting that you were talking about in October, and I asked you at that time when you were requesting a moratorium if there was anybody wanting to move into the trailer park, and you said there was one gentleman, and you discouraged them from wanting to move in. If I remember correctly, there was one person. Rightfully so, the moratorium went through. Discouraging people from wanting to move in, preventing them, is not good for our business. It's not good for a lot of things.
Councillor Dunno,
Sir.
I think I should call you on that because I don't think that anyone said at the time that we were discouraging anyone from moving in. I think that should be taken out.
With all due respect, through the chair, I do recall the fact that the one individual was not allowed to put their trailer in the trailer court, so that is a discouragement in itself.
Through the chairman,
Yes.
through the chair, we never received any applications, so we have not denied anyone. In the last 6-8 months, we've not received any applications, so we had nothing to deny.
I think, Councillor, and I remember very well, and I went back to kind of track what had happened, and I seem to recall quite clearly that our staff said that there was an inquiry on the possibility, an inquiry on it, and certainly not a discouragement from our staff. Any other questions or comments?
Yeah. Thank you, Worship. It is a touchy issue. Myself, I agree with the 32% occupancy. It's very low and the costs are very high. And the possibility of additional costs, as you pointed out, for water lines and whatnot, adds to that cost on the back of the taxpayers. Myself, I would like to see a permanent moratorium on any leases and a timeline set to abandon the trailer park. have everything out in there, or, yeah, have everything out.
Councillor Leo?
Yeah, I got a little bit different point view here. I would like to see maybe instead of what we got 3 streets here, and maybe put everything on the one street and subdivide the rest. That's just a thought I had. I think relocating these people and making them happy if they want to keep their trailers, that's a thought that I've had. So maybe that's something we could look at and subdivide the rest, or to make it for future use. But in the meantime, if you get everybody on the same street or whatever, by relocating, and I'm sure that can be looked at.
Councillor Rule?
I'm in the same thinking as Councillor Ray. I just looking at the thing, you're looking at 6 people on 2 on Deer, 2 on Mink, and 2
Yeah.
on Martin. We can encourage those. I don't have no idea who those people are, but over a period of time, we encourage those people to move over to Beaver and Caribou in the hopes that we leave Beaver and Caribou open in the future, and the other 3 stop getting services and stop getting plowed and all that kind of stuff. I hate to dishonor anybody who's living there for a while and having to push people out. I mean,
But
the same token as Ed is saying about you don't want to discourage people, you don't want to. I mean, some of those people, I don't know who's in whose house, but I know some people are seniors, they're widows, they've been there for a long time, and I would say that's devastating for them to even hear the real links that they might have to move or abandon and stuff. So I'd be in favor of what Ray's suggesting.
Councillor Deno? Thank you.
I guess I'm on a different mindset right now. I used to live in the trailer court. I made my trailer home into a double wide trailer with approval, building permits and stuff. I established my trailer home there for over 20 years. Having to pick it up, dismantle, pick it up, relocate is a disturbance to anyone's life. I think there's going to be some serious repercussions from our public, especially the residents there, if they are told that they have to relocate. I would rather see this go through a natural attrition format and at least try to promote people to want to live there instead of trying to move them around for the sake of a few $1,000s and disrupting many people's lives.
Thank you. Yes, Councillor Rule?
So again, I'd go along with that idea, but a moratorium on Deer, Mink, and Martin, no longer any of them there, and that we do encourage people to get, if they want to get trailers, but the trailers there's still lots available on Beaver and Caribou, that we still have 2 streets that are trailers, and then eventually try to get rid of those Deer, Mint, and Martin. Maybe not do anything with them, wait till, and again, I don't know who those 6 people are, but maybe over time, nature and natural take its course.
Yes, Councillor O'Donnell?
I'd like to reiterate what I said earlier, the fact that these tenants have been living there for a number of years and having to disrupt their lifestyles, their homes, for relocation just for the sake of a few $1,000s on the bottom line. I cannot see the humanitarian issue in that.
Thank you. So, yes, Councillor.
Through the chair, one more comment on that. I didn't say that people would move their trailer on their own. I was stating that the township would assist in those people in relocating their trailer. So we'd be saving in the other way by not having to put the water lines and the sewage and the plowing and all that. And I think it'd be a lot more than a couple $1,000s.
So I personally, I think what we should be directing our staff to is, because of the unknown that we have, the uncertainty that we have in town right now, which way we're going to go. Are we going to need that area for some reason or other? Do we want to move people in closer together? And of course, that is always, as it has been in the past, a cost of the township of Manitowoc to move these people, and it's not their own cost. But due to the unknown, we have to be fair to our staff, and we have to let them come back to us and say and tell us what the best way to operate on, which means that they have to let us know if that's what they want, which street that they would like to have everybody gather up on, and for what reason. There's got to be some savings somewhere or other benefits from it. So what I think what we should be doing right now is writing a resolution to our staff that there is a moratorium on new leases, and if someone would like to move back in, it would have to go back to council. In the meantime, staff developed through time a better report and a more concise report to council for council's reconsideration. I think to me that's only fair for the residents that are there, the possibility of having new residents, and for council.
Through the chair, can we get some guidelines on what council may be looking for? Because that's wide open, which is why we struggled with this so much, because we really don't know what the will of council is.
Yes,
So my understanding is municipal housing is pretty loaded, pretty full. So avenues for low income or average for lower income families to come to Manitowatch, this is another option. And so I don't like the idea that we're going to continue moratorium, a kibosh on all of it. I think we're wise enough to figure out one of these streets at least that we could still say, if someone comes along tomorrow, next week, the week after, I'd like to bring a trailer into Manitowatch. We have lots there that are vacant, right? So I don't know why we wouldn't allow more people to come to Manitowatch. So I appreciate the dilemma that we're in, but this is since October till now, so I think the continuation of the moratorium is not in our best favor.
So,
I'm not in favor of that.
and I get what you're going, Councillor, and what you're thinking is that the possibility of a mobile home is the cheaper way of people to come to Manitowatch as residents. But I personally don't think so. There are very low-cost housing here, and if you compare the rent of the trailer compared to the taxes that we charge, most of the time it's still lower to pay taxes. Therefore, the residents that we're talking about would probably benefit more from purchasing a house or renting a house than it would from a mobile home. Yes, Councillor?
I disagree with Councillor around there. As I said, I'd like to see a permanent moratorium. Whatever route management chooses, I'd like to see a timeline incorporated in that. Either we want to move all the trailers onto one street within a certain timeline, or we want to get the heck out of it completely within a certain timeline. You cannot overlook the fact that we have a lot of empty houses in town. And when you take the fact, rent, I believe, is $750 a month, is that correct? Rent for a lot.
It's 180, about 100, yeah.
So about 1,200, 182. So
$2,000 a year.
yeah, and that's money that's thrown away. Yeah, we get it for revenue, but it still does not offset the operating cost. Again, my point of view would be a permanent moratorium and a timeline set for whatever route you want to go, whether you vacate for everything over one street or as far as I'm concerned, moving the trailer once it's on its wheels isn't going anywhere. If you go down the highway, everything can lose. You can lose residents that way. Or it may go to the next street. I don't know how that impacts water, sewer. I don't know. When you shut down the water on meet without impacting water on there, I don't know. Management knows that. But that has to be considered as well.
Yes,
Thank
Councilor
you.
Rule?
At the end of the day, we're still looking at 34 homes, 34 families, 34 individuals, 34 residents of our community. And whether it's a percentage and it's not good for business, and is to me, aside the point, it's 34 homes, 34 people. And I would like to see, personally, some cost factors. Let me see why we want to make these choices. Like, how much money are we going to save if we do this? It's good and ideal and 30,000 foot looking down, but give me I want some tangible numbers before we start disrupting some homes, disrupting some people.
Any other comments? Yes, Councilor Dow?
Through the chair, I would like to see number one, primarily left as it is right now and leave it up to attrition. But if the township administration would approach the tenants on a voluntary basis, fine. I can see that working out quite well. But receiving some feedback from those tenants already, there's a lot of them highly opposed for wanting to move, even though there may be a bylaw through council put forward. And I have to support those tenants. I truly do.
Yes, Councilor?
I'm curious to know how Councilor Null received feedback from residents when it's on Council's agenda tonight.
I would like to address that. This was, since last October when the moratorium came out, not to allow any more leases out for the trailer homes. There's an awful lot of talk around the town, and yes, it has come out already. And they were very vocal about it as well.
First of all, I don't see that anybody would be vocal about something that hasn't been discussed at council. But anyways, it's up to the residents that do want to be vocal. I think that we're missing part of the boat here, councillors. We are as I said earlier, in an unknown situation right now. There may be a time when we need to have lots available for possible expansion, whatever happens to Manitowocin, if we need more housing. And that would be an excellent area to put housing on, which is permanent residence instead of movable residence. So the idea of moving, and I'm not suggesting that we throw anybody out at the trailer park. We have to maintain the people that are there. But the possibility of gathering them up on one street, as suggested by our staff, for whatever reason they feel would be better for the residents and for the taxpayers, I think we have to do that. And until we find out exactly what we are looking at, we can't really, without a council decision, we can't really have anyone moving just anywhere at discretion of staff, because that's not what staff is there about. They're here tonight for us to make a decision for them. So we have to make that decision, and I think that we do have to, at this point, because of the unknown, we have to keep the moratorium on until staff comes back to council and tells us, as Councillor Rule spoke about, what is the cost and what is the total amount of moving these people on one street, what street they go on, so that we reduce the trailer park and have the possibility of increasing housing. I think what we should be doing is directing staff to do exactly that. Yes, Councillor Rule? Or sorry, Councillor Legette.
Yeah, I was wondering, you were looking at me. My final comment will be same as Councillor Rule. I'd like to see the one street, move everything to it on one street if possible. But if somebody comes in with a brand new trailer or a new trailer or a decent trailer and wants to put it, and he's got to be going on that street that we decide on, not just anywhere in the trailer court. That would be the way I would go. I would go.
But that would have to be our direction to council, to staff, so.
Yes.
Any other? Yes.
Through the chair, it only takes about a couple years to build up a new subdivision, roughly. That's what the Hemel area started up like. What I'm getting at is we do not have a shortage of homes around town that are for sale. So anybody wanting to move to town could possibly find accommodations or residency, no problem at all, without having to worry about the immediate erection of new buildings in a new subdivision.
Through the chair, one other thing that council could consider, and it wasn't in the report, but it goes to Councillor Dunnell's comments, that I know it's been done in the past and we didn't have a lot of people who were interested, but if people were interested in relocating outside of the trailer court, they would be faced with demolition costs. So they would be looking for some kind of compensation for council for doing that. So that's something that council should consider if they wanted to go down that avenue. It wouldn't be as simple as just writing a homeowner and say, would you like to relocate? They would incur some costs associated with that.
Councillor Wu?
Again, that's why I think having some ideas of what we're going to be saving if we close some of these streets down, we have those tangible numbers, and then we look at what our CEO is suggesting is that there might be demolition costs to relocate people. Or should we even be doing this? We'll start looking at the pros and cons of it. So I think we need some more financial stuff before we can proceed.
Through the chair, just some history. Years ago when we had the old trailer court, when they relocated the people from the old trailer court to the new trailer court, they did a couple of things. They did buyouts for those who didn't want to relocate them, who wanted to move into houses or homes. So there was some compensation paid to them, and then there was a different compensation paid to those who wanted to relocate their trailer, which a number of them did, but they had to be in good enough condition in order to do that. So council of the day did make the decision that they did want to close the old trailer court, but yeah, you're right, there was a cost to that, without a doubt.
There always is a cost, yes. And again, we're not talking about closing a trailer court, but relocating to a more efficient area so that we can, when the time comes, if the time comes, that we can use the rest of the land somehow. So we need to, right now I think that we still need to have some type of moratorium until we come up with a decision on where these people are, if there is someone coming in new, where they're going to be located. But in the meantime, maybe staff can come back to council with a possible cost, as Councillor Rule mentioned, the possibility of relocating those people or buying them out as we've done in the past, and also with a possible cost of both of them. I remember when some of the trailers were relocated, we had asked the owners to show us the cost of relocating their trailers so that we wouldn't just be paying any type of money of any amount. So how would we word that resolution?
I think you have a huge variety of opinions here, so I'm not sure. I couldn't begin to draw the resolution at this point.
I suggest we go with number 1, status quo for now, remain status quo until we come back to it. Number 1 is written down there, considerations for councils as follows. Number 1, status quo.
But I think in addition to that, we have to give direction to staff on what council expects, as in, we didn't do that last time. Staff come back to us with a possibility of moving everyone on a certain street and the possible cost. Yes, Councilor.
Should we, through the chair, should we not defer this to next week so that a proper resolution can be prepared?
Through the chair, I think we need direction from council to know how to prepare the resolution. That's the difficulty.
I think we're all in favor of the moratorium, or the majority is in favor of the moratorium, so we can start with that. Okay? Pardon me?
I'm not in moratorium.
I thought that's what you said, keep the moratorium going. That's what we have in place right now.
Through the chair. Thought we had agreed that keep the one street open if somebody wants to bring a trailer in. So I think that's where
That's what I was getting at.
Councillor Rowe.
We don't miss one. We don't even miss one opportunity. Somebody can go out.
Yeah.
But by doing that, we're not giving direction to staff.
Yeah,
Which street?
We're telling them the
Which
one
street?
street with the most trailers on
Okay,
it.
so which
I'm
street?
assuming.
Well, I think you could, through the chair, I think you could leave that to Mr. Cranny, who's the planner, who could best decide that. But if that's the direction of council, then administration could decide on that street. But if that's the direction, that's what we would do.
Yes, Councilor?
Your Worship, there seems to be sort of an agreement that we leave at least one street open for trailers. I don't know how that fits in the official plan. Can we integrate trailers with residential homes? I don't know. Another thing is, how long do we leave that street open for trailers? Do we leave it open for trailers in perpetuity? Or do we set a timeline? So, okay, to attrition, once the trailer's down, you don't put it back. We're leaving it wide open here. Status quo means we do nothing. We absolutely do nothing. And I'm not in favor of doing nothing. We have to move forward. Okay, put a moratorium. Put one street, a moratorium on further development other than that one street, move everybody onto one street. But put a timeline on that street. Once you vacate, you don't come back with another trailer. And again, I don't know how that fits into the official plan of trailer lot versus structure buildings. I don't know.
Yes,
Can I speak for a second?
of course.
Thank you. I can understand council's dilemma. We have lots of good residents in our trailer park, a lot of good long-term residents, and we don't want to dissuade those people. I don't think anybody has that intention. Supply and demand, we are not inundated with requests, and we do have vacant houses in the town. So, but that can change quickly. So that's one thing to be aware of. Time frame. To make a change of the plan of subdivision could take 2+ years. So although we don't have the decision in front of us today, we do have to start to think about the long-term planning and viability. Infill is a good option. When you look at the number of streets and the number of lots, we have one street that'll hold more trailers than we have total today. Not saying we have to act at this time, but to think about a plan for down the road if it comes. I agree with keeping one street open. If somebody came in tomorrow, we don't want to dissuade any residents. And look at the number of lots and the number of occupancy on a particular street to do that. So the moratorium, in fact, would be, say, the other streets that you choose not to. If the person comes in and says, I'd like to live on Beaver, but you've chosen Caribou, sorry, those are the options. That type of moratorium planning would probably be the best sound direction. I know this is not an all-inclusive report, and it will take a lot more work to get it there. The mayor and I had a brief conversation, and if somebody from industry come to us tomorrow and wanted 10 trailer lots, I could be sure that we'd be sitting right back here having a conversation to make that happen. So, but the long-term planning should start now.
So would you have a suggestion on which street that you would think is appropriate for a new tenant to come in.
When I look at the numbers and I look at the lots available, I would choose Caribou to keep. That has the most trailers on it this time. It has 19 units on it. The other lots, as Councilor Leroux mentioned to, we have 3 streets that have 2 each. So that at the point in time, and not saying now, but if the supply and demand dictates it, and we feel we want to convert 2 trailer lots into 1 house lot, it would be as simple to move 2 as opposed to 19. So looking at the numbers and the lots available, that type of plan could be workable, but there's still legal and municipal affairs subdivision work to be done to make a steadfast plan on that.
So would council agree to put a moratorium on all the streets except Caribou?
I'm in favor.
We start there, please. So to me, that's I think that satisfies a lot of people, is that we still are able to accept new tenants, although we are restricting them to the best area that staff and council feels is appropriate. But once that's done, what direction do we need to give staff to come back to council and tell us what the next step is? Owen, would you have any comments on that?
Again, I'm just looking, when I look, Caribou Street has 48 lots with 19 occupied at this time. Fair amount of room for growth. There may be attrition options yet to come forward over time. So I would just permit future installations to be on Caribou while we continue to, and maybe come back. I think at this time, not to alarm our residents in any of those streets, there is no intent to do anything at this time because we're thinking about supply and demand. And we don't have a problem with supply and we don't have a big demand. So there is no need to act, but I think we should start to look at the planning options available to the municipality.
And so we can add to it and furthermore ask staff to look at the planning options for the future. Would that be appropriate? Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Yes.
Again, I'd like to see a timeline on this.
Okay.
It's fine to put a moratorium and say we're going to develop 1 street only. But when it's 2 years, when it's 5 years, whenever the timeline is necessary.
I talk about the urgency again. Without the supply and demand thing being driven, if I came to council and someone wanted 15 building lots tomorrow, we're not getting those requests, So I think to have kind of the vision on paper and get that to you is 6 months, to get that back to you.
But if I may, right?
Yeah.
But that has a type of financial analysis, if you will. What's the cost of moving a trailer from Mate to Caribou, for example? And how am I going to communicate this?
We could include that if that's council's wishes, and that could change again if you don't do anything for 5 years. That data will really be, that information would really not be usable. The amount of money you'd want to spend to change things is really based on the supply and demand concern.
Through the chair, can I make a suggestion that we put a moratorium on and we're now going to focus on just 1 street? If council wanted to consider some compensation for anybody who wanted to move, maybe we could just get a ballpark that could be offered to the rest of the residents in the trailer park. Maybe give them, 6 months to make a decision. The offer is valid for 6 months, for example. It's just an example. They would have to move within a year. Mr. Cranny's right that if we have a major boom as a result of, a variety of projects that we're working on, if we needed the land, we would come to council and we would be paying for those people to move in, to relocate, and it wouldn't be without question. So I think we're doing what we can do at this time. There's no urgency other than sort of keeping in the back of my mind that the land is available.
But also, I think that, and as you said, staff has to come back to council and say this is what we propose to offer the residents, so that there is the council is aware of a possible cost and how many people would be interested. So you would have to do both, come up with a possible cost and go to the residents.
We wouldn't be able to go to the residents until we had approval from council to proceed.
Not to proceed, but to get a
Through the chair, nobody's going to tell us yes until they know how they're going to be compensated.
We still have viable tenants that haven't indicating of wanting to move, and as long as we don't have a use or demand at this point in time until we get a better plan in place, long-term vision, I don't think we'd want to move or even go there. I think I don't want to say we're premature because planning, I just said, takes time, but I think we start the planning ball rolling, and until the demand comes, you're not faced with the options.
Yes, Councilor Wu?
Yes.
Okay. Councilor Plummer?
I appreciate you're saying that you really don't have a demand. If you do have a demand, what may cost $10,000 today, but the demand costs $20,000 tomorrow, and you pay for it more. That's the risk you run.
So are we comfortable with just staying with to have a moratorium on all streets of the Greater Port except for Caribou and leave it at that and wait for staff to come back to us?
And we will notify tenants. We will put that in writing to the tenants.
Okay. And be it further resolved that upon conclusion of council review and consideration, direct staff as follows.
Can I just answer Councilor Rose' question? The reason being because if they want to sell their trailer and move out, we're not renewing leases. Right?
I don't even think we're there yet.
No, but if somebody does decide to sell tomorrow, my understanding is we're not renewing leases.
Yeah. If I may, right?
Change of ownership.
Sorry. Yes.
It's also leaving it behind in the mill. You're not in a renewal lease with John Doe's son because it was in the will. Am I hearing that?
Well, my understanding is a moratorium means no new leases, which means we're not accepting new owners in.
Okay.
We're not renewing leases.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes, Councilor O'Donnell?
Through the chair, pardon my interruption before, but with respect to the renewal of the leases, if it happens to be a buy and sell on Caribou, then there should be a renewal of a lease then.
And renewal of the leases are always at the discretion of Township of Manitowoc. But they are. That's part of the lease. Existing.
To put then through the chair, then the problem being why would the township or council want to deter a buy and sell agreement if part of the agreement was to be able to renew the lease?
The agreement has never been to be able to renew the lease. The lease is renewable at the discretion of the Township of Manitowoc. And I don't think we're in a situation right now where we want to start changing leases. So
Through the chair, the process is not a renewing of a lease. It's a new lease with a new tenant for the same land. We do scrutinize those. We ask for credit checks. You know, we want to make sure that it's just like renting an apartment. You want to make sure that, you know, your tenants have the means to pay the rent. So my understanding of a moratorium, and correct me if I'm wrong because it should then be written into the resolution, that also means we will not be renewing any leases on any other street other than Caribou. So I want to make sure I understand.
Yes, Councillor Wu?
So I'm just fearful that we're going to cause a uproar, we're going to cause people to get all excited for nothing, and we're going to cause an uproar for nothing with those type of terminology. Because when I hear renewal, I think I own a trailer park, and I get out there in the coffee shop, they say, oh, they're not letting us renew. Then there's thinking that I can't stay at my spot. At some point in time, they're kicking me out. So
Yeah,
I know, I think
renew
we
is
need to be
not
very
the
careful.
word. We're not entering into new lease agreements
New
for
leases, okay.
existing trailers on any other street other than Caribou. Is my understanding now. If I'm misunderstanding, then let's get it in the resolution so that it's clear for everyone.
I think we need to get it in the resolution that, yes, that we're not in the situation yet to start not getting new leases on existing lots. I think we want to put that in the resolution. Would you agree, Owen?
My comment is just to be clear, and same as Ms. Harling, I want to be clear on what the moratorium is, and I'm not viewing it. We have a difference of opinion, obviously, sitting here tonight on what I feel the moratorium. I'm talking about a vacant piece of land, and somebody comes in and wants to put a trailer there.
Yes.
Not to create a new lease, other than on Caribou. If we have an existing lease on one of the other streets, and that person wants to sell their mobile home tomorrow, I think probably the fairest to that tenant would be that maybe we look at first right of refusal, at least disclose then to a proposed purchaser that we are reviewing the options. Because you could be affecting their ability to sell their home. And I think that's to be cautious.
So you're suggesting, just for language, that current tenants are grandfathered so that they have the ability to sell.
Well, if they're there now and they're selling an existing, it's a home on a, they're going to sell a home.
Will not have that opportunity.
Just a vacant lot. I'm talking about a vacant lot, right?
Yeah.
No vacant lots, other than Caribou.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with that. Yeah. Everybody is? So what language would you
I
like to
don't know if you write it because I'm quite honestly a little confused.
There's a
as to
difference
where we're
between
going.
what you're calling a new lease. I'm talking about a lease of a vacant, starting a lot that's vacant, somebody wants to put a trailer on it. If we have a trailer on, use Beaver as an example, and the homeowner has that house for trailer for sale today, somebody comes in to get that lease, they're a new leasee because it's a totally different name.
Correct.
I think we should honor that lease.
So then would you extend it to that new lease? Or because you had said give them notice, so then
There's no
you
notice
buy
right
a
now.
trailer tomorrow.
Be fair up front,
So
just
then
let them know
aren't
that
you-
we're looking at stuff.
Okay.
And we would have to, I would think, to be fair to all players involved then, and that would be a consideration of council. If someone was on one of those streets and has a bona fide offer on their home, that maybe council consider a first right of refusal.
So for this, maybe what we should be writing in then is to say that new tenants in existing mobile homes are acceptable.
Yes, yeah, they would be acceptable.
Okay.
Yeah, why would you not? You have it there now. If we don't act, and we're going to change anything at this time. But I think it's important they know.
New tenants on an existing mobile home is acceptable.
Yeah, presently occupied lot.
You say that they're exempt from this provision.
And exempt from the above.
You want them to have the ability to sell their home if they so choose.
Well, that's good conversation.
Yep.
Yes,
Yes, by running where you have, I would put maybe exempt. The reason I say if you say they're exempt, then they're exempt, period. And that should go on and on and on and on. If you say maybe exempt, this means you do have an out.
but and by saying that, I don't think we have to say that because it's still at the discretion of the township man watch at our staff to say yes or no to a new tenant.
But then we're back in the position, as Mr. Kenya said, if I own a trailer and I have an offer to buy it, I can't sell it if I know full well the prospective buyer cannot move in.
Through the chair, the only time that we will not enter into a lease agreement with them if they don't have good, sound financial.
Yeah.
We will not accept tenants who don't have good credit.
Oh, I have good credit.
That's the only time we have ever denied someone.
I have good credit, so why can't I move in? Why can't I buy that trailer?
Well, that's what this resolution is saying, that you can.
Well, what I'm saying is you might be able to. I know what you're saying, but you're wording it in such a way that there's no right. If you put maybe something.
Just
Yes, Owen?
the added part I mentioned, and maybe it got missed, was the first right of refusal. If they have a bona fide offer, and we really don't want the trailer there anymore, and we're willing to buy it and pay what they could get for it on the fair market, that's a decision of council.
Through the chair, we can request that, but it's not in the existing lease, so we can't hold anybody to that. From a legal perspective, we can request.
For the more new tenants and just exempt from this provision.
You can say the township will request first right of refusal.
And the township may request first right
Yeah,
of
it may,
refusal.
because you may not want
May
every trailer on
request
every
first
street.
right. Of refusal.
Your worship,
Yes.
you could still buy this trailer and move it on Caribou if they so wish to.
Of course.
Then that would eliminate some of the other stuff, but leave it up to,
We could certainly mention it to the tenants.
because that, they should be mentioned that we're looking at this, and that would be, that's what council is looking at, trying to put everything together, and
Thank you.
if they're up front.
And be it further resolved upon conclusion of council's review and consideration, direct staff as follows. To have a moratorium on all streets of the trailer court except for Caribou Street. And furthermore, new tenants in existing trailers are exempt from this provision, and the township of Manitowoc may request first right of refusal. All in favor? Opposed? None carried. You. Item number 15, motion and notice of motion. There are none. Item number 16, closed sessions. Moved by Councilor Rule, seconded by Councilor Believ. Whereas Section 239 in bracket 4 of the Municipal Act 2001 SO 2001 C25 provided that before holding of a meeting or part of a meeting is to be closed to the public, the municipality or local board or committee of either of them shall state by resolution the fact of holding of a closed meeting and the general nature of the matter to be considered at the closed meeting. Now therefore be it resolved that this meeting is hereby closed to the public. As the subject matter being discussed falls under the following sections. There are three. Number 1, Section 239 in bracket 2, bracket C, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board. Rail bed. Item number 2, Section 239 in bracket 2, bracket C, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board, land use permit. 03, Section 239, bracket 2, bracket B, personal matter about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employee. Manitowoc Nuclear Waste Community Liaison Committee members. All in favor? Opposed? None carried. stay. Stay all night if you'd like. So moved by Councillor Jeff, seconded by Councillor Rule. Resolved that the meeting is hereby declared to be open to the public at 9:32 p.m. All in favor? Opposed? None? Carried. So these are the two resolutions from the closed meeting. Moved by Councillor Dunno, seconded by Councillor Diev. Resolved that staff be directed to contact MNRF and proceed as instructed. All in favor?
Point of order, I would like to request a recorded vote. Against?
Councillor Ligier?
Four. Okay. Second item. Seconded by moved by Councillor Dunno, seconded by Councillor Rule. Resolved that the following person be appointed to the Manitowoc Nuclear Waste Community Liaison Committee, and their terms be concurrent with the current term of council. Erica Roberts, Tiffany Lister, Peter Labby, Amber Campbell. All in favor? Opposed? None carried. Moved by Councillor Rule, seconded by Councillor Yev. Resolved that the regular meeting is adjourned at the hour of 9:34 p.m. All in favor? Carried. Thank you.